Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, everyone. Get ready, because today we're diving deep, deep into Surah Al-Fajr.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's the 89th chapter of the Quran, and believe me, it's packed with powerful stuff, like really powerful. We're going to, unpack its message, really break it down.
Yeah.
We'll explore, like, the fate of those who deny the truth and the amazing rewards waiting for those who stay faithful. But first, I think it's super important to understand the structure of this surah, just to like set the stage.
Right.
So it starts with these really powerful oaths.
Yeah.
Then it dives into some pretty intense examples of past civilizations, And then boom, it hits you with this stark contrast between the believers and the non-believers.
Yeah.
And finally, it like reveals the ultimate destination for each.
Right.
It's like a journey.
It is.
A journey through time and consequence. And speaking of these oaths, they're like the first thing you encounter in Surah Al-Fajr, the very first 5 verses. They use these incredible natural phenomena like the dawn, 10 nights, even in odd numbers, and even the passing of the night as oaths. It's like, whoa, this is serious business, right?
It is, and that's exactly the point. Oaths, especially in the Quran, they're meant to grab your attention. Like when you swear by something, you're underscoring the importance of what comes next.
Right. It's like, I swear on this, it's true.
Exactly. And, think about how we use emphatic language in our everyday lives. We only do it when it's something, really serious, something we really mean. Well, Allah is doing the same thing here. He's using these oaths to emphasize the weight of the message that follows.
That makes total sense. So it's not just poetry, it's like a divine declaration.
Exactly.
And then boom, verse 5 hits you with this question. Is all this sadasa a sufficient oath for those who have sense? Like, it's making you think, right?
It is. It's a rhetorical question,
Yeah.
aimed straight at our intellect, challenging us to use our reason. Because, think about it, the oaths themselves, they're undeniable truths, like the dawn, the night. These are things everyone can see, everyone experiences.
Right.
And the surah is urging us to recognize the authority behind the message, the authority of Allah. Like, look around, observe my creation, and acknowledge the truth I'm about to reveal.
Oh, that's powerful. And speaking of truth, the surah then shifts gears a little bit, right? It moves from these cosmic oaths to the stories of past civilizations.
Yes, exactly. Verses 6 to 14, they recount the stories of 3 very powerful civilizations: the Ed, the Thamud, and the Pharaoh.
And like, these weren't just some random tribes, right? These were like empires.
Right. They were renowned for their wealth, their advanced technology, they had impressive structures, massive buildings. The Ad, for example, especially the people of Aram, they had buildings like towers that were unmatched at that time. Think about the arrogance. It must have taken to believe that they were untouchable.
Right, like, we're invincible.
Exactly. And then you have the Thamud, who carved their homes directly into mountains.
Wow.
They were masters of nature, or so they thought. And then, of course, the Pharaoh, a symbol of power and tyranny. He literally challenged the will of Allah. His story, it's a cautionary tale for all time, about the dangers of unchecked authority and arrogance.
So these civilizations, they were powerful, advanced,
Yes.
but they fell. Their downfall, it's a reminder that all those worldly achievements, they're fleeting, temporary, but like, what specifically caused their destruction? I mean, how can we, like regular people living in a totally different time, how can we apply these lessons to our own lives?
That's a good question. And the surah doesn't just mention their downfall, it actually highlights the root causes. The Erd, for example, despite their architectural marvels, they fell because they hoarded wealth. They exploited the weak.
Oh.
They were consumed by material possessions and completely disregarded their social responsibilities. And similarly, the Thamud, even though they were these skilled builders, they worshipped idols and rejected the messengers that were sent to guide them. Their ingenuity, their skills, it couldn't save them from the consequences of their spiritual transgressions. And the Pharaoh, blinded by his power, he enslaved the children of Israel and claimed divinity.
These stories, though ancient, they hold timeless lessons. They remind us that true progress, it's not just about like buildings and technology, but also spiritual development.
Absolutely.
It's a call for balance, striving for knowledge and advancement, while also upholding, justice, compassion, and humility.
Right. The Sutta is emphasizing that material progress without social justice, without spiritual grounding and recognition of a higher power, it's unsustainable. It's a message that resonates just as strongly today as it did centuries ago.
Absolutely. And this focus on the dangers of material wealth, it kind of leads us to verses 15 to 20, where we see this like stark contrast in human behavior, like how people act when they're prosperous versus when they're struggling.
Right.
It says, now whenever a human being is tested by their Lord through the Ophid's generosity and blessings, they boast, my Lord has deservedly honored me. But when he tests them by limiting their provision, they protest, my Lord has undeservedly humiliated me.
It's like classic human nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
We tend to take all the credit for our successes,
Oh yeah,
attribute everything good to our own merit.
like I'm amazing.
Right. But then when we face difficulties, we complain.
Why me?
Exactly. We question all as fairness, we blame external factors, anything but ourselves.
It's like we forget that everything we have is a gift, you know?
A gift from Allah.
Gift from Allah.
Yeah.
And like the Surah continues, it lists these specific actions that come from this, this flawed mindset. Neglecting orphans, not helping the poor, greedily devouring inheritance, and just like an obsessive love for wealth. It's like a powerful indictment of materialism and just being self-centered.
It's almost like a checklist of behaviors to avoid, if you want to live a righteous life.
Right.
And the way these verses are structured, moving from these general observations about human nature to these specific actions, it really drives home the point. How we respond to blessings and hardships, it really reveals our true character, the state of the hearts.
And that leads us to, well, the day of judgment.
Yeah.
And it's depicted so vividly in verses 21 to 27. It says, enough, when the earth is entirely crushed over and over, and your Lord comes to judges with angels, rank upon rank, and hell is brought forth on that day. This is when every believing SAS person will remember their own sin. But what is the use of remembering then? They will cry, I wish I had sent forth something good to hit for my sister's life.
Wow, the imagery here is it's meant to evoke awe and fear. Imagine the earth, which seems so solid, so permanent. Imagine it being crushed over and over again. Imagine Allah arriving with ranks upon ranks of angels. And then hell itself appearing.
It's terrifying.
It's a terrifying scene, a stark contrast to the complacency with which so many people live their lives.
And then you hear the regret in the voices of the disbelievers. I wish I had sent forth something good, sir, for my sister's life. Like, what will we be thinking on that day?
It really makes you think, right?
Yeah. Will we be full of regret for all the missed opportunities, or will we have that sense of peace knowing that we really strive to live righteously?
It's a powerful reminder that this life, it's temporary, and our actions have eternal consequences. The choices we make today, they shape our destiny on that day.
So we need to remember the imagery of these verses as we go through our lives and really ask ourselves, am I living in a way that will bring me peace on that day?
Exactly.
But thankfully, the surah doesn't end on a note of despair. Verses 28 to 31 offer this message of hope and reward for the righteous. It says, so Allah will say to the righteous, O tranquil soul, return to your Lord, well pleased eating and his misk just to him me's. So join my servants and enter my paradise.
What a contrast, right?
Yeah.
While the disbelievers face eternal punishment, the faithful, they're welcomed by Allah with peace and comfort. And notice the phrase, tranquil soul.
It's beautiful.
It really captures the state of a believer who's lived a life in harmony with Allah's will.
They return to their Creator not with fear or regret, but with contentment, with fulfillment. It's a reminder that true happiness, it's not about possessions, it's about seeking Allah's pleasure.
And then this invitation, join my servants and enter my paradise. It's an incredible reward. It speaks to the ultimate goal of our existence, to be in the presence of Allah, surrounded by his blessings, experiencing a joy that goes beyond anything in this world.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Surah Al-Fajr, we're left with this profound message. We need to learn from the past, recognize the tests that come with wealth and blessings, and ultimately prepare for our final destination. The Surah urges us to reflect on our choices, to live in a way that leads to a tranquil soul, well pleased with Allah and well pleasing to him.
So knowing all of this, knowing the fate of those who came before, how will you choose to live your life today? What kind of legacy will you leave behind?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.